Welcome back to Factory Sealed. It is May 10th, 2015. It's Mother's Day here in America land.
Happy Mother's Day, Eric.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. My name's Eric Peterson. Joining me today is Mr. Daniel Curtis, who is not a mom,
Hello.
contrary to recent rumors
I am.
circulated by some undersea vegetables.
Yeah, those damn cucumbers will get you every time.
Also making an appearance, who is also not a mother, is Miss Jess Clarkson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jess wants many kids, I hear.
Oh, yeah.
Like 15.
Multiple.
Me too. I love those things. They're great.
You guys
I
seriously
want,
don't
like-
want kids?
Not anytime soon.
But ever. Like, are we ever going to expect any little Daniel Curtises running around?
I don't know.
Well, come on.
That scares me greatly.
It's fun, man.
It's so much responsibility.
I like sleep.
You get plenty of sleep.
I feel like you don't. You wake up at like 5 in the morning?
No. I go to
Yeah.
work at 6:30, so okay, yeah, I'm up at 5:30 anyway.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Well, like last night, we put Ellie down at 5:30, and she didn't get up till this morning at 6.
Because she's at the age where she's like starting to be more appealing to other people.
She has always
You're
slept
trying
through
to
the
you're
night.
trying to say that Eric's child isn't appealing to other people.
Not everyone, but like kids, I think
Just
before
most of
the
the
age
human
of
race. It's
2
fine.
are pretty useless.
Oh, you are a terrible person.
They are though. Like, what do they do before they're 2? Like, they just
They
lay
provide
around.
love, and they provide cuteness and snuggles and poopy diapers.
Oh.
It's the poopy diapers and the crying that just.
You get over it. That will be the decline of the human race, is a disdain for children. And then one day we're all going to be 80 years old and go, wow, we really didn't think this one through.
Well, it's true. Like, birth rates are going down, which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah, it's because we don't want...
Yeah, it's hilarious. The human race is going to die. Brilliant.
It's because there are so many people out there with... They're just absolute morons, and the people who should be reproducing aren't because of the people who are reproducing. It's like, I guess I don't want my kids to grow up in a world with them.
See, going back to last week, if the people from Geordie Shore reproduce, that's not good.
And they're the ones who
That should-
are
that should
reproducing
be
en masse.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
That's why I have to go with the pre-made children.
What?
What?
You adopt them at like the
But-
cool age of like 2 or 3.
That's like the
pre-made.
worst
I
slot
thought- I
machine.
thought you were just getting children made in a cloning lab or something. Is that how you do it in Canada? They just grow them,
Yeah.
like in a flower or something.
They just kind of pop out of a rose petal. Like, oh, hi.
It's a big like snowball that they're formed in.
A big snowball.
Oh God, this has went downhill quickly again.
Dan, I had...
Hi.
Hi. I was thinking about you on the way to work yesterday,
Oh dear.
and it's a terrible way to start a conversation.
That is a really bad way.
So, the...
Right, try again. Word that better.
Dan,
Hi.
hi. I was reminded of you on the way to work yesterday.
Right, that's better. Thank you.
I remember when we first started conversating together, and I was trying to get used to your stupid style of language and the words that you have for certain things. And the big trucks that carry cargo across the road over there are called lorries, correct?
Yes.
So the first time I was talking about what we call them, you got really kind of weirded out by it. And yesterday I was driving down the road towards work, and there's this huge sign that said no semis. And it reminded me of that conversation because over there, isn't that a slang term for boner?
It is indeed. See, this conversation would have really taken a turn for the worst if you did say that you were thinking about me and you saw a sign that said semis.
Well, it said no semis.
Oh, you don't want those on the motorway. That would just be wrong.
I actually thought about stopping to pull over and take a picture of it for you.
You should have done the road rash selfie next to it.
Hey. Oh dear.
So what's been going down with you two this week?
Not much, really. It's been kind of a dull week. It's starting to get hot.
Yeah, we are like experiencing unexpected heat. It's crazy. It was like 30 degrees yesterday.
That's friggin' cold. Oh,
No.
Celsius.
Over here in England, we are getting, as usual, expected rain.
I imagine
86 Fahrenheit.
I imagine that England is a lot like Phoenix, except just the opposite in that down here, it's just constantly sunny. If you want to plan something 5 years from now, you can know it's going to be sunny outside. Over in England, it's like, hey, you guys want to go outside? Bring your umbrella. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. Just bring your umbrella. Like, do you guys just have umbrellas built into everything that you own?
Yes, I actually have one built into my head. So just a little hatch opens up and an umbrella comes out.
Do you have one of
like
those
Inspector
umbrella
Gadget.
hats? Have you
wish I did.
seen? Like
I should do
they're
that would be cool, as.
seriously, you could fit right into Geordie Shore if you wore your umbrella hat.
I saw a car
Wish I'd never.
that had a hidden compartment for an umbrella when you open the door. It's like on the inside seam. It was just a little button you pop out and an umbrella shoots out. I can imagine that all your cars over there have those.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they totally do.
Yeah.
And they actually have like a little tea dispenser. The CD player just folds in and tea comes out in little china cups.
I heard that in like tanks, they have
Yeah.
tea stations.
British tanks.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. Which
So
is
they're
hilarious.
in the middle of a fight and then just go, all right, boys, it's tea time.
Yeah.
Absolutely spiffing.
My
Get
saucer
the digestive
broke.
biscuits.
Jesus.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be fair. So
You should join the military and find out, Dan.
I'll pass on that, thanks. I like being alive.
So, does everybody in England lose their mind as much over the whole royal baby stuff as they have been over here?
Oh, yes. Some woman has been on the radio for about 2 weeks. Before the baby was born, she decided to go and camp outside the hospital for 2 weeks.
This isn't Star Wars.
She is insane.
That is crazy.
And she was there, and she kept going on the radio, and she was going, "Oh, I'm getting a bit sick now. I want to go home." I was like, "Well, go home, you fool!"
Why was she?
I was like, "There's just no need for it. Just to glimpse a child
that
for about 2 seconds.
They're going to release a picture of anyway.
Yeah.
Did they?
So,
Pardon the American ignorance, but I mean, does the royal family even have any sort of political power anymore?
nope.
So they're just a figurehead that just eats up funds.
Yep.
How did the people over there not get irate about that?
But I feel like they have a lot of tourism too, which is a huge push or like money making thing for UK. And
Yeah,
if they
that's-
didn't
that's-
have the royals,
So-
people wouldn't want to go to a rady.
Because you get insane people like that woman who love the royals so much that they'll go and camp outside a hospital for 2 weeks to get a fleeting glimpse of a baby.
So they're a lot
So
like
that's
the
why.
Kardashians and the Kanyes of England.
Yeah, but with less arse.
Oh yeah, a lot less.
That's arse for all you Americans.
Have you seen Pippa though?
Everybody's seen Pippa.
But the wedding dress, she had like a pretty good booty.
Let me see. How do you spell
Yeah.
Pippa?
I think so.
Yeah,
Pippa.
Pippa Middleton.
Talk about rags to riches.
Yeah.
Why am I looking this up?
Because you
Because
like
of
hair.
that booty.
Why was she in white? Doesn't just the... I feel like that's kind of a bitch move.
The first hit on Google is the Pippa Middleton Ass Appreciation Society,
Are you serious?
which has 208,778 likes.
That's funny. Okay.
Yeah, so while her sister was getting married, everybody was just checking out her sister's ass. Fantastic.
Must be nice. What's been going on with
I
you?
wish
Dan?
people would check out my sister's ass.
You don't even have a sister.
I know. That's why
You're an only child, right?
Yes.
Oh, diddums.
Doesn't bother me.
I've been trying to work that phrase in for 3 shows now.
Congratulations.
Do you know
Well
that?
done.
That's that phrase I was trying to remember when we first had Dan on.
Yeah.
Because his
Yeah.
mom used to come barging into there and she's like, Daniel, do this. Oh, diddums, Mom. And I picked up on it.
I can't remember this at all, but okay.
What does diddums mean?
It's just a random word, really.
It's
You
like,
say,
oh,
just
boo-hoo.
when you're being sarcastic about showing sympathy to someone, you just go, oh, diddums.
I feel like that was like in Harry Potter. Like I feel like they called him Dudley Diddums or something like that.
No, that was Diddy Duddy or something.
Dudley Do-Right?
That was totally the Canadian movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, Rocky and Bullwinkle. Isn't it Dudley Do-Right and Rocky and Bullwinkle?
I don't know. What's the movie with Brendan Fraser?
Dudley Do-Right.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is this Brendan Fraser before or after he turned into a fat bastard?
He's a fat bastard now?
Oh, yeah, he's really let himself go.
I gotta
See.
see this. It's like Chevy Chase, too.
If you look at George of the Jungle, then how he is now.
Oh yeah, his face has puffed out a little bit.
Ooh, he has not aged well. And he's going bald.
No.
Oh my god, he is.
Gross.
Poor
Poor
Brendan.
guy. Oh, but then there's some pictures when he had like the tip spiked. I don't know if you guys spiked your hair when you were in like
No,
grade 8.
no.
Of course.
Not an attractive look.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
So,
he's really let himself go.
we should stop talking about actors.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like there's something more important we need to talk about, like games, possibly.
Oh, yeah, Games, bitches!
It's been a slow... Actually, I don't want to say it's been a slow week for me, but I've just been charging away on Final Fantasy VIII, because we got to wrap that up before Derek leaves. So we got 2 more shows to do on that.
Where did you get up to?
I'm just at the part where I'm getting ready to enter Lunatic Pandora to wrap up Disc 3. But I spent 5 hours trying to get down to fight Ultima Weapon.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Have you been to space?
Oh, yeah, I'm way past that. I've got the Ragnarok.
That bit makes no sense.
No, it really doesn't. Hi, let's put you in some capsules, and we're going to fire you into space, but it's okay because you're going to be asleep.
Yeah, but at no point during the game does anybody say to them that they're going to space. Yeah.
It's like, hop in here, guys.
It's just like, all right, go over there and get in there, and then that's just next thing you know, you're in cryo sleep, being fired towards the moon.
You gotta give them a little bit of credit and assume that they're partially competent people, because they were saying you need to go to the lunar base. So,
I don't think they do.
Yeah, they do. The launch pad and the lunar base, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
That doesn't necessarily mean you're about to be blasted into space.
Well, at that point, Squall is so head over heels for Rhinoa that I don't think he cares. He would fire himself out of a cannon.
Most likely.
But we're going to save that for the Final Fantasy show.
Okay,
What-
I will be quiet.
What have you guys been playing this week?
So, what have I been playing? Well, last week I was on about Axiom Verge.
Axiom.
Axiom Verge, and I downloaded it.
This is a recent release, like just a couple weeks old, done in a retro style, Metroidvania style, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's actually pretty damn good.
This game was part of the Spring Fever Week 6 sale, I think.
Was it?
I think so. It's a little too expensive for my impulsive purchase. It's like $20 here.
It was 15 here, so about the same.
Yeah,
I guess. But I feel like I've got my money's worth. It's pretty good. I finished it literally about an hour before the podcast.
Tell me about it.
Well, it starts off basically you're this guy, you're a scientist, and you end up in an alien world, and you get this gun, and the gun's just basic to start with. As you go along, you get new power-ups, different weapons, new like teleportation abilities. You get a little drone that can go through little cracks that you couldn't get through before, and it's just clever how like you can go places you can't go before by getting these new powers. Like you'll pass something and you're like, oh, I can't get to that. And they're like, I bet I'll have to come back here later. And you do.
So is it just one giant open world that you kind of bounce around with like the old Metroid games?
Yeah, there's about 8 different sections.
Uh-huh.
But each section of the map's like its own square. And then you go through a little tube into the next one. And then every area is different and there's loads of secrets to find, like secret weapons and secret items. Apparently there's actually a cheat you can put in where it unlocks Samus Aran's swimsuit model of the original Metroid.
That's awesome.
So I need to find that. I haven't found that yet, but I finished it and it said I've only got 69% of all the items, so I'm like, where the hell are the rest of them? Because like I'm pretty sure I checked it everywhere.
I remember reading about this game when it first came out, and everybody was talking about how it is a really good throwback to some old retro-style games, but they said the one thing that they felt that was really off was there's kind of a disconnect between the pacing and the action, where it just kind of felt a little disjointed at times. It's like, all right, this is going really well, and then you just hit this brick wall, and it just didn't flow very well.
Oh yeah, that is what I was about to say. Actually, that's the major problem with it, because you get certain items, and you might be at the other end of the map, and there's no indication of where to go next at all. So I spent literally about 3 hours yesterday walking from one end of the map to the other, trying to find exactly where I was going.
Well,
and it just went on forever and ever and ever.
I think if we pull ourselves out of the modern era and look at the style of game that this was emulating, games back then did that. That was commonplace. They just kind of said, here you go, figure it out. We're kind of used to the whole compass.
Yeah, you're used to having an objective at all times.
Well, take Ni no Kuni, for example. I know you played that quite a bit. One of the first things I did on that was I turned off the gold star on the compass.
Oh, okay.
Because it gives you your objective, and then boom, go here. And this was supposed to be a modern JRPG, but the old JRPGs didn't tell you where to go. You had to pick it up through conversational cues.
Especially if you're going into space on Final Fantasy VIII.
Yes.
Axiom Verge is very good. The bosses are brutally difficult as well.
Yeah.
So, but the really good, like huge enemies, like giant scorpions, giant bugs, and all these crazy things that you have to fight. You actually at one point hallucinate and you get killed by yourself.
What's the difficulty level on the bosses? I mean, is it
extremely
pretty hard?
It's in between Dark Souls and slightly easier.
Jeez.
So,
there
was one I really struggled with, the Scorpion boss. You have to get a specific weapon. You have to shoot under it and explode your weapon at the right point to hit its weak point, while simultaneously dodging all of its attacks. And I was just like, oh no, this is so difficult.
Is there a level up system where you can add extra health and attack power, or
yes,
is it just...
That's what happened to me. Like when I was lost for 3 hours, I was finding all these secret areas that I hadn't found, and you get health nodes and power-up nodes that increase your weapon damage or your health or your range of your abilities and stuff like that. Huh. So And then towards the end, you get this thing called the drone teleport, where you have a little drone that can go through little cracks. But after that, you can actually teleport to where your drone is, so you can get to areas you couldn't get to before, and stuff like that. So it's really clever, actually.
Does it have any replay value?
I'd say so. It's got quite a bit of stuff. Like, I've missed quite a lot of stuff. So, and there's a hard mode, and there's also a speed run mode, which I haven't tried yet.
You were saying that was it an achievement or a special unlock for beating the game without dying?
Yeah.
You gonna go for that one?
Which is not, it's practically impossible.
It was like, you and I were talking about this a little bit before, like Rogue Legacy, that you played through that, right?
Yes.
At
great length.
I have no idea how anybody I could barely make it through part of the first level of the castle without dying. I don't know how anybody could go through that whole game without dying.
I think on Rogue Legacy you can die about 9 times or something to get that achievement.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is less than 9 times.
Yeah, but
it's still crazy.
It's still practically impossible.
I think I put
you have to basically know everything about that game.
I think I put in over 20 hours on that game and died like 250 times.
Me too. I beat all the optional bosses and everything.
Yeah, it was nuts. That game was a blast. I mean,
it is fantastic.
That was one thing too. That there's a game I played this week that it kind of wrapped up the whole. You know, you don't need a ton of shit in a game to actually make it good. And I feel like Rogue Legacy is an example of one of those games where it doesn't have a ton to it. It's simplistic and it's fun. And even today, just before the show, Dan and I were playing a game that we're going to talk about on our 51st episode, because that's the one we're going to celebrate instead. It's just the simplicity of games. Yeah, Jess, we're gonna celebrate 51st instead of 50 because the Final Fantasy VIII show is going to be 50.
I feel like that's very appropriate.
Yeah, it is.
We do things a little off. But, Dan, is there anything else you want to say about Axiom Verge?
Play it. Give it a go. That's all I would say. I also did an article about it on the website, which you should all read.
We're starting to do...
Oh, yeah, you've been writing.
I have been writing.
Yeah.
I feel this is something that Factory Sale was lacking.
We will not ever do news. So if you ever see us put up a news piece, yell at us and we will delete it.
Unless it somehow ties in with the rest of the article. But, it's somewhat unlikely. Instead, I will just put random words into boxes and see what happens.
Dan assembled some words.
Yeah. I did.
So last night I was bored.
I do that occasionally.
And I threw out a tweet and just said I need some games to play for this week. Because quite literally until about, 9 o'clock last night, I had played nothing besides Final Fantasy this week. So some people threw out some of their suggestions. And someone, Derek at DT Leonardo 226, threw out Excitebike 64. And that's a series that I didn't really know they continued past the NES. And I told him I apologize in advance if I'm going to destroy his if I'm going to destroy his childhood. I like dirt bike racing games. I like racing games in general, but there was something special about Excitebike. I even had to write some of my thoughts down because this game was bad. Have either of you guys ever played it?
No. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, you might want to keep it that way. The original
I want to play it now.
You need to experience this because the original Excitebike was known for its sense of speed and tricks and just generally being fun. I mean, just all around, it was a fun game to play. Yeah, it was side-scrolling, but this one, they've taken it to the N64, and it is a huge pile of garbage. Because there is absolutely zero sense of speed. You have gas, brake, and then you have a turbo button where it just revs up your engine super fast, and that's it. So to go up over jumps, you can turbo so you can clear the jump a little bit better. But the controls are so bad that just trying to stay on the track is half the battle. Just to make a corner, they don't have sharp corners. You actually have to let off your gas and brake to make it around a big, wide, sweeping corner. By that time, you've lost so much of your power that you can't possibly get enough speed to go up over the next hill. But once you figure that out, it doesn't help that the AI in this game is retarded. If you manage to get out into first, you can actually lap people before the computers make it around the first corner from the first lap.
Wow, that game works excellent.
They are slow. And there were some long tracks, too. I'm like, okay, I'm doing pretty well. I'm out in first. And the commentator is... You can tell that they said, okay, here are all the names of the characters, here are all the phrases you need to say, and here are all the places. And you can tell that they just cut those and chopped them together so it sounds really chunky. It's like,
that's amazing.
Sarah Hill fell off in first place. Sarah Hill.
So is it like
off.
the old WWE games where it's like, The Undertaker is great?
Yeah. It's just terrible.
That's amazing.
Those used to be so funny.
Well, and it's if you even
commentary was just
remotely nudge somebody and you're not perfectly side by side, you fall off your bike. They don't fall off, you fall off your bike, and then everybody gets off ahead of you and you pop back on. But this game is a prime example of just how little content they used to be able to get away with putting in a game. There are, I think, 15 tracks, and each of them takes like 3 minutes to beat at the most. But then again, I suppose Mario Kart 64 was a lot like this, but this had none of that same replay element. I played through all of the championships and went, well, I'll never touch this game again. And I imagine there are people out there that paid like $70 for this thing.
I used to really love Crash Team Racing.
Crash Team Racing is great, but that had replay value. It had multiplayer aspects to it. And I mean, Dan, if you and I were to play Excitebike 64, we'd probably get a little bit more entertainment out of it. But just with a game that had its roots in such...
The game's so bad, you have to play with someone else to make fun of it, to make it good.
I just couldn't believe how slow the game felt, because the NES version, everything was really fast. You could go over these jumps, and you could do backflips, and you could do wheelies. None of that stuff is here. It's just really generic, shitty dirt tracks. Sometimes you go up over a wooden bridge. There's maybe a shortcut or two in all 15 tracks. And if you don't jump the hill just right and then swoop down and then boost up, you're never going to make it up over the jump. So half the time, you're just riding a dirt bike at 12 miles an hour up a steep hill.
Sounds pants.
It's quite pants.
So basically, you've just shit all over this guy's
I feel
favorite
bad.
Game. Yeah.
Because the coolest aspect of the game was at the very beginning, that it boots up and it's this big dirt stadium and it's got all these options on the side, and then you click, all right, I want to do a championship. It's like, okay, here are the 5 tracks that you're going to do in this beginner's championship. And then it takes you to your character, and you see them doing this sweet dirt bike riding around the track, and you can change their jacket colors and then their dirt bike colors. And that's where the excitement ended.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, it sounds great, Eric.
I would not recommend
Sounds
it.
like a fun time. I can just imagine you in your house just raging at this game.
I actually
screaming at the TV.
I actually was. I was sitting at my computer. Christy was in the living room, and I'm just yelling at, like, this is such a huge pile of shit. She's like, what? Like, Excitebike. She's like, that game's great. I'm like, no, the 64 version is crap.
Apparently, they took inspiration from Wave Racer 64.
I was going to say that. It handled a lot like Wave Racer. I felt like these were wave runners on land, and they handled exactly like you'd expect a wave runner on land to handle.
That's amazing.
There was another game I played that, Dan, you and I absolutely have to play this together, because this might be the worst game I don't even know if you could classify this as a game.
Hang on, Eric, before you crack on, I've just looked on IGN, for the review for Excitebike 64.
Please don't tell me it got a 9.
9.5.
9.7.
Are you serious?
Presentation. The classic Excitebike, perfectly reborn, is an N64 game with updated controls, full licenses, and now in 3D. Graphics, extraordinarily detailed, beautiful, and generally smooth. Lots of variation and it looks spectacular. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. Perfect, tight, intuitive controls with deep mechanics. Lasting appeal, you'll keep coming back just because it feels so good.
So this is a prime example of a game that does not age well.
Yeah, apparently.
At the time, it may have been great, but it does not age well at all. And granted, there may be a lot of things that I missed playing. I didn't obviously set down to play this for tens of hours. I put 2 into it.
You're pressing the right buttons.
I went backwards the whole time.
Oh, that's probably why you didn't enjoy it.
I don't know.
That's amazing.
Okay. I might need to revisit this because I'm looking at some pictures and it looks like there's some of the old traditional side-scrolling stuff, which might actually be pretty cool. I was just doing the straight-up championship races, and those were terrible.
Fair enough.
Okay, Dan, we might need to add this to our list of games to play together.
Okie dokie. That list is getting big.
It is. So, Derek, sorry if I kind of took the excitement out of your sails.
I think you took the excitement out of his sales, then shit on them,
And used them as toilet
and handed them back to him and went, there you are.
I'm genuinely trying not to dump on games. Because I realize
But I'm going to dump on them anyway.
Well, this one, it just...
But if it's proper bollocks, then you have to take a dump on it, don't you?
I think if you played it, Dan, you would probably agree.
Yeah, probably.
But you guys need to look up...
I think a lot of N64 games haven't aged well, though.
No, they really haven't.
I think it's the control system that really screws with the replay, when you're replaying it now, because you don't have as much control as you're used to at this point. You don't have the camera changes, except for the stupid C buttons, but they didn't really do anything anyway.
Do you feel like... Take the PlayStation, for example, because they were out at the same time. Do you feel like PlayStation games have aged better than N64 games?
Some.
I feel like the graphics haven't, but I feel like the controls have.
If you go back and play one of the Tomb Raiders, they are clunky as hell.
Yes, or the original Resident Evils.
Yeah.
I kind of like those tank controls, though.
But with Tomb Raider, you have to manually go into the system, hit save all the time, and then when you die, it's loading again. And then at the time, I didn't notice, but now I'm just really impatient. I'm just like, come on. But you can still do the cool handstand move, which is always good.
I'm looking at an Excitebike 64 image here of... It looks like the traditional Excitebike, but instead of seeing it from left to right, you're behind the character, and that might actually be pretty cool to see. Okay, I might need to revisit
this. Basically,
this.
You haven't been playing this game right.
Well, I played the championship. I thought this was like Mario Kart, where I don't want to just do a single race. I want to do a championship. Like the Grand Prix.
It doesn't look too bad on the images, I guess.
No, the graphics weren't terrible. It's just the sense of speed definitely was not there, and I think that's what really took me out of it. Because if you look at ATV Off-Road Fury for PS2, that game had great sense of speed. This, it's great, I'm on a moped. You brush the side of the course.
Sure, you were pressing the buttons right.
I may not have been.
I bet you weren't.
But then the turning, you were saying, usually if you're slower, you can make those corners a lot easier, but you're saying you still couldn't?
It's just, everything. You're already going slow, so to have to slow down even more for a corner just took you way out of it.
Yeah, that sucks.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll go back to it again. I don't want to dump on it unjustly, but from what I played so far, it didn't live up to its predecessor.
It's not going to reach the 9.7 in your mind?
No. It might reach a 2000 9.7, but a 2015 9.7, no way. There is a game for the Sega Genesis that you guys need to play called Race Drivin. Not driving, drivin'.
Driving.
So there is a very special place in video game hell for this particular title. Because let me send you the cover image for it.
Oh, I thought you were saying drive-in. Like,
No.
A drive-in
God,
movie.
Jess.
And I was so confused. I was like, what is this? Like, do you pretend you're going to the movies? This is kind of exciting.
No. That's how they used to
Apparently.
That's not exciting. Oh my god.
Okay, so
That's amazing.
yeah, you're like, wow, this is going to be awesome. And then look at this image here. So the game it loads up to the start screen, and you have
Wow.
4 tracks to choose from. You've got apparently this is a remake of an Atari game.
Just so everybody knows who's watching, listening, even that image he's just sent, there is literally a barn hovering in the air.
And the road,
Above a road.
the road isn't even on the ground either at this point, but I'll get to that. I have one note under this picture, and it just says huge pile of shit. There are 3 cars. I don't even remember what they are. There's the Roadster, the Speedster, and then some other car, but it doesn't really make a difference. It just changes your tachometer and speedometer. There's apparently a time limit, and there's 4 courses: original, autocross, custom, and super stunt. So I decided to go with super stunt, and you take off. You're like, okay, cool. You're in the first person view of the car, and then driving along, everything's just green, and then the road just starts to lift into the sky, and then you come up around the corner, and there's this floating barn. And the car already handles like absolute ass. So if you go off the side, you plummet down into the earth and explode. And it's at that point you see that this whole rest of the track is up in the sky with absolutely no support structure to speak of. There are loops, there are high-banked corners, there are sharp turns, and there are construction paper pigs in the road that when you hit, they make some sort of squealing speaker sound.
And there's no like explanation for why the road is floating?
Nope. So I went to
Does it need one?
I went to original, and it's just a square, and the road actually stays on the ground the entire time.
What the hell?
It is,
There's one with like a loop-de-loop.
Yeah.
Like just
Oh my God.
randomly.
yeah. And there are checkpoints
Why has it got 2 big rear ramps next to it as well?
because you
I don't
launch
know.
through the middle of it.
Oh,
Oh. This looks
hilarious.
You actually
awesome.
do have to play this.
Race Drivin.
I feel like they were building the game and they're like, let's just do this cool feature. And they're like, who cares about putting like structural support underneath it? That's too much work. Let's just make the road go anywhere.
This is like the old game equivalent of modern games where they just ship them when they're not finished.
Except they can't patch it.
Yeah. Back in the day, you just played it like it was.
To be honest, I put way too much time into this game. I probably played it for 45 minutes. It was one of those games that is absolutely so bad that you just can't put it down. But they did have one saving grace where when you complete your lap, the ghost car shows up and you can follow your ghost car around. But as soon as it careens off the side of the road for what's surely to be the 100th time, you kind of stop following it. The controls are absolutely pants.
Of course.
I mean, they're terrible. They're just awful.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Is it as bad as Road Rash last week?
Road Rash looks like a modern PS4 game compared to this. It's something special. Race Drivin. There's an apostrophe in the place of the G. But
Beautiful.
definitely one to play. That's pretty much all I played this week. Kind of burnt out on racing games, to be honest.
What else did I play?
Jess, you played something else that's terrible too. I feel like we're just dumping on games this week.
I was so mad that it was so terrible. But I played Toy Story 2 because we were talking about it last week.
Oh,
And
classic.
I was like so pumped. I was so excited to play it again because I absolutely loved it when I was a kid.
Was this the
And I was like, yeah.
PlayStation version?
No, the Game Boy version.
Oh, geez.
Yes.
That's why you need to play the PlayStation.
Game
one.
Boy Advance or Game Boy Color?
Game Boy Color.
Oh, jeez. I remember the PlayStation one not being terrible.
Yeah. Game Boy one, not so much. Like, it's pretty shitty. It there's only 11 levels, so it's pretty quick.
So you beat it.
And yeah, but the levels are like
Hooray!
2 minutes. No, not even 2 minutes. Like 30 seconds to like maybe 2 minutes tops. It's terribly like the controls are awful. Like so completely awful. Because the game, I think, I don't know why, but when they're doing the like physics and stuff for it, it's so weird. Like you have to really make sure that you're jumping on a very specific spot of a ledge or something, or else you fall. Some of the ledges you can walk like a few pixels over the edge, but you're still on the ledge because they haven't really designed it properly.
Imagine that.
So it's very like clunky. Like you have to really remember like stupid little things in order to get through the level. But basically like what you do is you are playing as Buzz and you have to save Woody from have to go to the toy store and then you have to go to the airport and then you untie him and then you have to race back to home before Andy finds out that you've disappeared or something.
So they didn't really follow the movie.
Kind of like you have to leave Andy's bedroom and then you have to go through the garage sale. So like that element kind of happened. You have to go to the Big Al's toy store and then to his house and then to the airport, I think. Because I think that happened. Like Buzz was riding on Bullseye.
Yeah.
Which you have to do
Yeah,
as
that
well.
sounds like the film.
Yeah. But the weapons you have, like, you only have two options. You can jump or you can use your little Buzz Lightyear handgun type of thing. And it was pretty terrible in terms of like the enemies. There weren't very many. But the ones that were there were really awkward to kill. Like you had to be in a very specific spot at a very specific time. You couldn't really dodge their attacks. So it was basically just like a full out gun battle between the two of you, and whoever's like bullet hit you first, that was the damage. So
I can't imagine the controls on this were very good either.
Not so much. And they're very, very specific. Like, at one point you have to launch yourself off of a ramp and then fly, but you have to hit your wings at a very specific point, and it would take you like 5 times before you could get it. There's no instructions that told you that you had to do this. Like, it was so bad.
I'm just looking at the pictures of this, and it looks
me too.
Terrible.
Like,
Not as good as the PlayStation version.
I do remember the PlayStation version being kind of fun.
I want to play that to kind of redeem the Toy Story 2.
Does anybody remember how much Game Boy Color games were when they launched? I want to say it was like $40, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Probably.
I would be furious if I bought this game for $40.
Uh-huh.
I mean, like, your Pokemon Yellow games or your Zelda Link's Awakening, those games are worth $40. But I feel like this is a game that they just made to monopolize on Toy Story and sell to kids.
That's sure.
True. That's true of a lot of DS and old Game Boy games, though.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, my friend used to have like a cheap knockoff game, which was called 101 Games in One.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just the same 8. It was the same 8 games over and over again with a slightly different name.
I just sent you guys the ending screen too, and it is so cheap.
That's
like
beautiful.
Infinity.
Yeah, it's just one screen that has like Buzz and Woody. Like, yeah, we did it. Like, congratulations, you beat the game.
So
that's it.
From a lot of the inside stories that I've read about getting into games development, this seems like a prime example of the types of games that 90% of the industry people work on. Everyone's like, I want to get into games design and I want to make the next Call of Duty. It's like, no, you're probably going to be making Toy Story 2 for the Game Boy Color. You're going to be making the next Imagine's Babies. This looks awful, Jess.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you played through this.
It was just so irritating because there weren't really, like, some of the ledges you could jump on and some of them you couldn't, and there's nothing distinguishing between the two. So it was all basically trial and error, try to figure out.
Jeez.
And you could collect coins. Like, if you collected all the coins, you get a level up, but you had to collect every single coin on a specific level. So it was, it was great.
I don't think I'll be playing
great.
that. You didn't sell me on it.
No, I would not. We'll try the PlayStation one, but not the Game Boy one.
What made you decide to play that?
Because I really liked it when I was younger. And we were talking about it. And I was like, yeah, let's do this. This will be fun.
So you were their target demographic.
Yep.
Wow.
I don't know what I enjoyed about it.
So I've just remembered, right? Back when I was a kid, I used to have this handheld game. It was made by a company called Tiger.
Uh-huh.
And it was Sonic the Hedgehog. And I've literally just remembered about it. And it was so good. It was actually its own little handheld console that played this one game.
Oh, yeah. I had that too.
Can you remember it?
Yeah. Let me see. If this is the one.
It was just so great.
I'm going to drop it. This is the one I had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I could never finish it.
Same thing I had.
I remember those.
Yeah, they were so good.
Speaking of
I need
Sonic,
to get one.
I also played some Sonic 2 last night. And Dan, you're a pretty big Sonic fan.
Yeah. The old ones, yes.
Yeah. Sonic 2, I always hit a brick wall in that game. Not that it's difficult. It's just, well, actually, yeah, it is difficult. I just give up on that Aztec level with the water. I think it's the third level.
The third level.
Yeah, the
Aquatic Ruin Zone.
Aquatic Ruin Zone. Every time, I don't think I've ever gotten past that. And if I have, I don't remember it. Because it's such a frustrating level.
No, it isn't.
I have an issue with Sonic in general because the way that I always grew up playing it, especially with Mario, but it works with Mario, with Sonic not so much, is that Sonic is a fast character. I'm just going to run through the level. That's what he's supposed to do. Just run. Just go. The level is... the first few stages are kind of designed to facilitate that, where you just speed through.
No, you've still got to pace yourself and look for things.
No.
Yes. This is why you fail.
I don't...
Especially if you got past that level, it gets even harder.
Does it?
Yeah.
Is that the one that has the casino level? Or is that Sonic 1?
Yes. Sonic 2 and 3 both have casino levels.
So I have been past it because I do remember the casino level. It's just a lot of times I don't have the patience to beat the Aquatic Ruin Zone.
See, my favorite Sonic is combining it together with Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 3, and then you can actually play through both games in one seamless storyline.
So
and they both go through.
You play through which ones seamlessly?
Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, because they were originally meant to be the same game, but they split them up. So when Sonic and Knuckles came out, it had a little uniquely designed cartridge which had a hatch on the top, and you could plug Sonic 3 into it, and then you could play through both.
Oh, I did not know that.
Seamlessly. And then you could also use Knuckles in Sonic 3, and it opened up new areas.
So all the cartridges... you're right, they did.
And you can also plug Sonic 2 into it, and you can use Knuckles in Sonic 2.
Huh.
love Knuckles.
That's I do remember this because you could
like
plug,
Knuckles.
you could stack this. You could plug Sonic 3 into Sonic and Knuckles, and then put that on top of the Game Gear, and then plug that into your Genesis, and just have this huge tower.
Yeah. And then you could, if you do that, actually, you can collect. If you get all the Chaos Emeralds in Sonic 3 and become Super Sonic or whatever, then when you get to Sonic and Knuckles, all your gems get taken off you. You can get the Hyper Emeralds. Right? Then you can become Hyper Sonic.
I think I need to.
Which is basically like Super Sonic, but more shiny.
I never really understood how exactly to get the Chaos Emeralds. It just kind of happened. You have to beat the level with more than 100 rings, right?
No. Sonic 1, you have to beat it with more than 50 rings. You have to have a certain amount of rings, and then a special ring appears at the end of the stage, which you can jump into.
Mm-hmm.
Sonic 2, you have to hit a star post with 50 or more rings, and then a ring of stars comes in that you can jump into. You go to a special stage. And Sonic 3, they have hidden giant rings throughout the levels, which you have to find, and then you go to a special stage.
Huh.
So, same with Sonic and Knuckles, because that was the same game.
Did you?
But no.
Did you like Sonic Adventure DX?
I haven't actually played the Sonic Adventures. They passed me by, because they were Dreamcast, right?
Yeah, but you can get them on PS2 now, I think, for a few bucks. Or PS3, they have the PS2 ports of them. And
yeah, but
yeah, they cost money.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
I don't know. I guess you grew up a Genesis kid, and I grew up a Super Nintendo kid, so I never really gained a true appreciation for Sonic.
Get Sonic 3 and Knuckles and play through that one, because that's by far the best.
Okay.
I mean, that's got a storyline and everything. So
I think I just
it has
approached
it has level transitions and stuff.
I approached it wrong because when I played the first Mario, it's just all about running through the level, and Mario, it lends itself well to that style of play. Sonic, I'm learning not so much, even though he's designed to be a fast character.
It does. There's a bit of a learning curve. So, but if you play it on Sonic 3, you can actually save the game. So that might make life easier for you. But I think you should definitely play Sonic 3, because that one it's fantastic. It's such a good game.
Maybe I'll.
I mean, and then you can go back and play as Knuckles and see how it's all different. And Knuckles has his own storyline with different bosses and stuff.
How does the 2-player work in Sonic 2?
It's like, one person can either control Tails on the normal gameplay, but it can't really do much because he just dies all the time. Yeah. And because Sonic's too fast for him. And then there's, I don't think it's on Sonic 2, actually. It's on Sonic 3. It's like a racing mini game where you have like split screen and you have to race each other to the end of the level.
Uh-huh.
So that's how it works on Sonic 3.
Oh god, I just searched Knuckles and Tails fan fiction.
Oh,
I'm very concerned.
Oh dear.
Did Tails serve any purpose in Sonic 2?
No.
He was just a character they threw in.
Yes.
Dan, I imagine this is what your Sega Genesis setup used to look like.
Yeah,
you had the Mega CD, the Mega Drive, the Mega 32X, Sonic and Knuckles. The only thing that's missing is the Game Gear.
I only had the Mega Drive. I didn't even know about these things.
You didn't know about Sega CD?
No, not when I was a kid.
Oh man, I had the Sega Genesis, the Sega CD, and the Sega 32X all combined. But the Sega CD for the Genesis didn't sit underneath; it attached to the side. Let me see if I can find you a picture of that.
I wonder why that was so different.
I don't know why they called it the Mega Drive. I don't know. That doesn't sound good.
Jess, that's disturbing.
I know. There are so many disturbing images on Google.
I think you're actively looking for the. I guess I'll just eat them. What the hell? Here,
that's just strange.
Dan, this is what my Sega setup looked like when I had it. It had the Sega CD attachment was huge.
See, that looks like it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Though, to have it on the side.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have many games for it. I think
is that not a slimlined Genesis?
No, that's what we had.
See, but that looks like it's built in as standard, the Sega CD.
No. I think the only Sega CD games that I had were Lunar, and then there's a game like Tunnel Shark or something like that.
Sonic CD's a weird game.
Yeah, that one is. And then the only 32X games I had were Doom, and that game was great on the 32X. And then there was some Virtua Racing 3D or some crap like that.
What was the 32X? What was the point of it?
Increased the power of the system. It was did it bring it up to a 32-bit? I think so, instead of a 16.
Oh. I can't remember them ever catching on.
It just expanded the power.
I don't know why. They look really cool.
32X is considered a commercial fail.
Yeah. It's a 32-bit game player, is essentially what it was. It was the Virtual Boy of the Genesis, I guess.
It's very strange.
Genesis was a weird console as a whole. Just all the shit that came out for it was just weird. It never really found itself. So,
yeah.
Did you guys play anything else, or should we do some emails?
I don't think I've played anything else this week, to be honest.
All right. If you want to send us an email, factorysealed@manatank.com. Our first email comes not that one.
Comes not that.
Duncan.
Is it that bad?
Duncan Pacell writes in, "Hey guys, what's up, my friends? I hope your weeks have been great. My question today is, do you think we will ever see a revival of the retro style of games on a AAA scale? We see it on small scales and indie games, but nothing on the large scale. Also, what are your favorite TV shows? I'm rewatching Breaking Bad for the third or fourth time, and man, is it good. Keep on revisiting the life of Floppy Donkey Dickius."
As if people still remember that.
Those videos are gold.
That's a tender moment.
Yeah. Dan and I were rewatching some of the videos that we used to make and just cracking on about some of the jokes.
Jess, have you seen that one?
Yes.
Oh, it's so funny.
We were.
I think I cried. I cried laughing during that video for at least half an hour.
We were talking about it.
I don't even know where it came from. It was just so funny.
Floppy Donkey Dickius.
I had actual tears.
The stare connoisseur. That's a good video.
And then it says something about like fixing it with glue or something, doesn't it?
I think so. Dan, you're probably best equipped to answer this. Revival of retro style games on AAA scale?
I don't think you'll ever see it, to be honest.
No, I think you'll only see it on the indie level.
Yeah, but I don't know, like the 3D platformer thing, which I wrote about again this week. If you want to go check out that article, which you should. And
shameless
plug. But,
I don't think you'll see retro style. I don't think you're going to see EA or Activision come busting out with a 16-bit style AAA game.
No, it's never going to happen. But I think there's still the 3D platformer could come back. I really do believe this.
I do too.
Judging by how successful the Kickstarter has been for Yooka-Laylee, which
funded almost immediately.
Yep, and it's now earned £1,476,920.
Jesus.
So that's pretty damn good.
I agree. I don't think we'll ever see it. I mean, I guess I'm okay with that, because if the AAA companies were trying to do it, they would probably just rehash a lot of the same stuff that's already been done. Whereas if you leave it to the indie developers, you get more innovative stuff.
Yes, you do. Like Axiom Verge. It's good.
Or Rogue Legacy.
It's very like Super Metroid, but I don't think a lot of people will play it to see it. And but I think if you've got PS Plus on the PlayStation, PS4 in particular, you're getting a lot of indie games as part of PS Plus.
Yeah. Well, now that it's required, they're not going to entice people with AAA titles anymore.
No, but I think a lot of the indie games they've done so far, I would have never played otherwise, and I've really enjoyed them. Like Guacamelee, I love that.
That game's great. I can't wait to revisit that.
It's so fantastic. I've been replaying the new version with the extra levels and stuff, and it's great all over again. Fantastic. But I love those kind of Metroidvania games where you get new abilities as you go along and you can explore the world. I really like.
There are some that were
genre.
really kind of bad, like Outland wasn't super good. Then we have Apotheon. I haven't played too much of that.
No, I think I've got about 6 I still haven't actually tried.
You kind of
Because I'm just like, as soon as they're out, I'm just like, download.
Yeah. Well, I just put them in my library.
I mean, you get 4 free. You get 4 free this month.
And then
so
I've got a Vita, so I get 6 games a month for free.
not bad.
So, favorite TV shows
At the moment, or in
just
general?
in general.
Well, I'm in the Breaking Bad camp.
Yeah,
One of the most fantastic ones I've ever seen.
I would say the only series that I would never ever get tired of watching would be Battlestar Galactica. I've probably watched through that 3 or 4 times now.
I'm
Except
very
the
into.
final season.
No, see,
I still don't.
I will
like
argue
it.
with you to the death. I met Jamie Bamber, and he and I talked about how it ended, and I'm on the exact same page as him. It ended exactly how it needed to end.
I thought it was too like
Without
religious-y, weird.
without spoiling it for those who haven't seen it, the ending fed into what they've been saying almost since the very beginning of the series, where it said all of this has happened before and all this will happen again. And guess what? They set it up to happen again. It was perfect.
See, I thought the ending of Lost was very good because
I
stuck with that
love
all
that
the way
ending
through.
of
I still
Lost.
haven't seen
But
it.
it gets a lot of stick from people. But it was fantastic. It just
I
worked. I mean, I got up early in England about like 4:00 in the morning or something to watch the end and everything.
Jeez.
So, yeah. But I'm at the moment I'm very into like I love the Flash and Arrow. Like I think they're absolutely
There's
fantastic.
just too many.
I haven't watched any of the DC shows.
The Arrow and the Flash are just great. They're just so good. But I saw the Avengers yesterday actually, and I thought that was pants.
I heard it wasn't.
So good.
What?
Pants isn't good, Jess.
The new movie.
Oh, Pants is
No,
not good?
Pants is bad.
No,
Oh, I thought it was amazing. Why didn't you like it?
it just dragged. It was on too long.
I thought it was like amazing. Like it was cool because you saw like a lot from Hawkeye, which you didn't really get
He's
before.
kind of a boring character.
I hated that because I hate his character. So I
Really?
was like, I don't want him to have extra stuff. It's like he's just a pants Green Arrow. That's what he is.
No, he's
Yeah.
so cool.
He's not.
He's like the glue.
Oh, come on, Jess. He's next to Thor and Iron Man.
Yeah, he is. He
looks
shoots
so
a bow
rubbish.
and arrow.
Like
Even
a
he,
badass exploding.
even
bow
he
and arrow.
jokes about being shit in the film.
Don't care. I still love him.
So, but yeah, we got any other emails, Eric?
Yes. Jack Grant writes in, "Hi everybody. I would like to start by saying I love your shows and have stuck by it the whole time. Whenever there were 6 episodes a year somehow. On to my question. Have any of you opened a game that you didn't really play or like and later found out it was rare when factory sealed?"
No.
Nope. I usually have a pretty good idea
I don't
of
think so.
what my games are worth before I buy them. But then again, you don't really know when you...
half yours aren't actually opened.
Yeah. Well, the only one that I have right now that's starting to kind of open itself that may be worth something is the old Ocarina of Time Master Quest that came with Wind Waker for GameCube. I still have one of those sealed.
Yes, you mentioned this one last week.
Did I?
See, I am the type of person that opens stuff all the time. Like after I buy it, I'm in the car opening it.
I still...
Yeah, I used to enjoy reading the manuals until they've stopped doing them.
I still have a sealed copy of Kingdom Hearts 2 from the day it launched.
Wow.
Never opened it.
How? Like,
Have you ever actually played
No,
it?
I hear it's crap.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I don't want to play as Roxy
It's the best.
for the first 4 hours of the game.
Yeah, but then when you get past that, it's like the best game ever. Trust me, I got super addicted to the mini game in it where you have to build your own ship. That is great.
Gummy ship?
Yes.
Let's see.
Fantastic.
We are prepping for our 51st show, I guess. That's the one we're going to celebrate. So we need some more ideas for games. We've already got some really good ones, and Dan and I actually played one of them today that is awesome. Southwest Florida League Gamers, I think, Matt SWFL Gamers suggested we play some Ghost Lion and some Evo for the Super Nintendo. And
so here's an idea, right? Because we've got this streaming thing down now. Yeah. Could all three of us feasibly be watching and live streaming the same game at the same time for the podcast?
Yes.
So we could potentially do a video episode where we stream these obscure games live.
Yeah, we could.
Even if a game's not multiplayer on an emulator, you can swap control at different times. Yes. So this could work.
And Jay Jorgensen wrote in, and he suggested Snoopy's Silly Sports Spectacular.
I like the sound of this.
So if you want to send us any more suggestions, factorysealed@manatank.com, or drop them on our Facebook page, or shoot them to us in a tweet. I think that's going to do it for this week. I got to take care of some Mother's Day stuff here. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah. I've got to move because my backsides went to sleep. So, So, yeah.
All right. Just a heads up, we will be doing a Final Fantasy VIII show this week. We'll have another show next Sunday, followed by another Final Fantasy VIII show, and then we're going to take a 2-week break because I'm going to be out of town. So,
unfortunately, I will not be able to join them for the Final Fantasy episode because that clashes with England time.
So we will be. We'll be back. We're just going to be taking 2 weeks off. I feel like we've made up for our huge year-long gap.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
I would say we start playing some Red Faction for next week.
Is next week going to be the 51 though?
Oh yeah, you're right. Never mind. We're going to play the Goofy games. Okay. We'll schedule all of that stuff later. Jess, where can we find you on Twitter?
At I am a Jess.
Dan.
Frosted Sloth.
You can find me at Honest Pizza. And we actually do have a Factory Sealed Twitter. I'm going to start making that a little bit more active. Unfortunately, somebody took at Factory Sealed, so we are at Factory_Sealed. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue as well. So
the worst.
Keep in touch. We will see you all next time.